Lopsao. This is one of my favorite hands, to be honest. This is a hand that I employ to great effect. Partially because I am heavy and low to the ground. I'm a short, little, stocky guy, and I can use this hand to do really, really bad things to people's structure and their spine and just everything. I love it. This is a hand also that tends to kind of be poorly observed and also poorly described by people. So you'll hear people kind of describe this as a grabbing hand. I disagree. I think that the way that I would describe this is kind of the way that my former Sifu described this hand, which is a jerking hand. It's less of a grab and more of a quick jerk. So to show what that hand looks like in practice, we're gonna go ahead and do a thing here where I'm gonna bridge with myself and then I'm gonna lock myself. So there's that lock. And to show you again, going a little slower, coming down, turning the hand, thumb goes on the same side as the fingers. There's a little bit of a pinch here, and then dropping that wrist while I drop my weight. And I am keeping my palm in front of me while I do that, and that's very important. To see what that looks like from the side, we have our tan, and we're going to come down into our lop. And to go slower again, we're going to go turning the hand around, grabbing on the top, a little bit of a pinch with the fingers, popping the wrist while dropping the weight. And you'll notice how this hand isn't pulled in, and you'll notice how it's not pulled over to the side either. It's right in the center, just like all of our other hands, and it's extended. It's extended to, about the same distance, that magical distance, that, about a fist and a half width, distance from my body. And the reason for that is that this is doing a lot of kind of stuff all in one motion. So you're applying that jerk to your opponent. You're dropping your weight in to do it. You're dropping your weight in to get that jerk. And you're also kind of controlling their hand while you're doing it. You're controlling whatever it is that you're grabbing. And on top of that, you're using that as a cover. So kind of let's break all that down. Let's break all that down and kind of talk about everything involved in that. So first of all, I'm going to talk about how this comes in as a cover, because this is one of the things that you'll miss in a lot of descriptions, and this is a very important element of this hand, especially if you're doing like flow drills and stuff, because this will get you punished by an advanced student. So when we're doing, our flow lop drill, we're doing this number here, right? So if you lop and you say open up like this while you're trying to control that person's hand, it's not really in control. You're not in control of this hand, because this hand is going to come right under, because there's nothing behind it. If you have your palm there, that's a cover. This is secured and it's covered. There's no way for them to get in on your center if you have that palm in the way. So that's how that works as far as covering your center while you're maintaining that. That extension usually is, combined with a shift. And so there is a bit of sideways motion, but kind of like when we described our tan, how our tan doesn't go out here, that sideways motion comes from your entire body shifting, dropping. And this again is still forward. And so with that jerk, you're putting a lot of energy into pulling that person out of their ground, pulling them off center. If they're giving you a lot of intent, if they're stiff, this is the time to do that, because if somebody's really muscling through, they're like, I'm gonna get through, they already want to go that way. They're applying a lot of energy to go in that direction. Why don't you let them, but keep a leash on them? That's what that lop is about. So if I'm getting a lot of intent, you know, in here against my ton, and I'm just like, oh shit, man, you just really want to come in, don't you? Bam. Lop. It's going to pull them out of their structure. It's going to cause this kind of thing to happen. Jerk the lower spine. It's going to pull them out of their structure. And all the while, that upper body is probably going to be coming down. It's going to be following where you're pulling. And at that point, like I just showed you, you know, coming in, going up from under, that's going to be a good bet. Doing a fan sao up the arm. That's going to be a good bet. And so, you know, you're pulling them into a bad place. You're disrupting their ability to stay upright and protect themselves. You are sending a shock down their spine. You are protecting yourself, and you are in control of their extremity. And so it's a really, really effective hand to use. Now, in terms of where you see this used in the forms, I'm only up to Chum Q. Now, in Chum Q, you don't see this really, at least not as far as I have been able to tell yet. I may find a little lop sao hidden in there, but I do think that there is a lop sao hidden in Silam Tao. So when we get to our second section, this stuff here, and we come down into that jam, and we go up into those, you know, dual spearing tons, this next hand, if you're looking at it, could either be a gam sao or it could be a lop sao. So you could practice that as a lop. And the way that I like to do that lop, again, and you'll see it when I'm doing it, is I like to drop my weight. I like to drop my weight into it. Going down is good. You can go down and you can maintain your ground. In fact, going down is pretty good for maintaining your ground as long as you can move as low as you're going. So by going lower, dropping my weight, what that does in terms of physics is it takes my 220 pounds and it creates a dynamic load. Now, if you're familiar with like how to, you know, keep, you know, suspend stuff, use rope and whatnot, you know that if something is rated for like 100 pounds, the minute that you get that load, that 100-pound load swinging, that's no longer a 100-pound load. That load is that 100 pounds, you know, plus a lot. For example, like if you're on a harness and you're, say, like a 300-pound person, you know, take somebody who's pretty heavy, that 300-pound person can turn into a well over 1,000-pound load very quickly by becoming a dynamic load. So that's one of the reasons why dropping really accentuates anything that you're going to do like this. When you're dropping your weight, if you're a heavy person who is close to the ground, that is going to be an extremely advantageous thing for you to do. If that person is taller than me, and a lot of people are, and they're trying to come in, they're giving me a lot of intent, they think that they're going to take advantage of me, they think that they're going to steamroll me, they give me a lot of forward energy, that's something I can take advantage of and I can lock. They're giving me a lot of stiffness, well, that's now a handle. I can take that and I can lop that handle and I can just really, really disrupt everything that they're doing, the way that they're standing. Whatever their plan was when they came in, they're no longer in a position to do that. And I have control over that limb. I have control over them. I know where they're going to go. They're going to go right where I'm putting them. And as they do that, I'm going to be coming in with a blow. So again, that lop sao, this motion here, over the top, thumb on the same side. The only time you ever break with that thumb on the same side is if you're dealing with somebody really, really big. And I would never go further than maybe putting the thumb off to the side, you know, something like that. You don't want to risk putting that thumb under here because that's how you get your thumb broken. And it's also not really adding much. Anybody who's taken Aikido or Hapkido or any of those styles, you know that if you want to get out of that, you just roll over that thumb side and there's hardly anything there. So, you know, really, if you're planning on doing this lop and you're planning on using that thumb, just know that you're putting yourself at a lot of risk for very little benefit. Anyway, that's lop sao, the jerking hand. I may come up with a better translation to put down in the little description, so we'll see.